Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Psycho, the 1998 remake directed by Gus Van Sant. And I've seen this movie once before, and all I remember about it for the most part is that it was basically a colorized version of the original, and I absolutely hated it. And rewatching this movie, I was kind of dreading coming back to it because I really did not like it at all, even though it was basically a shot-for-shot remake of the original, except this time it's with color, sorry, and different actors. You have basically the same shots for the most part in this movie, and it's just all recreated, and everything's in color, and you have the same music, even the same dialogue, and you have what is, on paper, Psycho, the original from 1960. Unfortunately, the problem is it is a beat for beat remake that does not understand what made the original work as well as it did. And the best that I can explain this really is if, let's say, there are two people in a classroom, and the first person it writes down the answer 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's the question. The answer is 2. And you have the second person, they write 1 plus 1 equals 2. But the problem is that the second person copied off of the first person. And although they have the same answer, then they're asked another question. Give me an example of how you came to that conclusion, or something like a word problem. And the first person comes up with a solution, for instance, and they say, if I had one apple and I was given another apple, I would have 2 apples. Or someone gave me an apple, or whatever you want to say. And then the second person was asked the same question, but they would have absolutely no idea what to say. And that's pretty much this movie. It has the same beats, but it doesn't understand what made it effective. And so we have these tiny little additions that are, I guess, trying to give itself its own voice, but the problem is it's not complementing the film. If anything, it's dragging down the film. And when I mean by dragging down the film, it ruins the movie, like, to an unbelievable degree. Like, the fact that it's in color, I'm fine with it being in color, but the problem is it looks like it was supposed to be shot in black and white. And because of this, there are certain scenes that looked overexposed and the whites are really blown out. And it was very distracting. And I just thought the movie looked really bad as a result. And also, the dialect in this movie was just all over the place. Because the 60s film, it was basically just how people talked in the 60s. And so they bring that exact same dialogue into this 98 film, and it sounds weird because we're not in the 60s, we're in modern day. People don't talk like that anymore. So why do we have this in here? It just makes no sense. And I'm not quite sure if this was the case of the original film, and I don't remember it being an issue in the original, but so many shots in this movie just felt way too close, and I never really got a good sense of the environment. And even when I was able to see the environment, it just looked a little too goofy, and I found it to be rather distracting. Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates, I never bought him for a second. After watching him in Brawl in Cell Block 99, I realized, he can play a character if given the right role. He can be good, but in this movie, man, was he terrible. Like, I never once found him intimidating. The only times that I was kind of scared was when it was unintentionally, like, scary, just because of his performance. I was like, those moments feel a little unintentional. So I can't really give the film props for that if it's unintentionally creepy. The score for the movie, it's basically the same with some differences, and those changes don't really add anything to the film. And the iconic shower scene, you would imagine that at the very least that would be handled well, because it's basically the same scene. But The problem is two things. A, they added in like some random cuts to like rainy clouds for no reason, and I don't understand why they did that. And also, the most distracting part about that scene was the frame rate kept changing. Like sometimes it looked like it was 12 frames per second. Other shots it looked like it was 48 frames per second. Maybe it was just me, but it looked like it was all over the place and it felt very inconsistent with the rest of the movie. And there were lots of really odd sound effects in this movie. For instance, when a character is walking towards like the Bates house. I don't really consider this so much of a spoiler because it's just talking about the sound effects, sorry. And when they were walking towards that house, they added in rattling snake sound effects for no reason. And I don't understand why you would do that. There are no snakes anywhere. I would have preferred absolutely no music or sounds and just have the sounds that are coming from the film independently from everything that's going on, like footsteps, and that's about it. But instead they had to make it overly dramatic, and it really took away from all of the tension within the scene. And I know this is a tiny thing as well, but I felt as though the interior design of the Bates house was just any other house. It didn't look creepy or anything like that. It just was like any other house that you could find. I just found it to be really poorly put together. There was also a moment where a character looked like they were in front of a green screen, and that was very distracting. And the most disappointing part about this movie is that not once did I feel any amount of fear. And this is supposed to be a horror film. It's rated R, and the fact that I felt absolutely no fear while watching this movie really shows how much this movie failed. I also found it annoying how many times the film kept cutting to the envelope of money. That was distracting. Like, it cut to it like 4 times within the same scene. Like, how many times do we need a close-up of an envelope of money? Like, really? And all in all, this movie just felt like a soulless, cynical cash grab that was just made to make money, and I'm glad to know that it bombed. It did not make money. And yeah, that's the one positive I can say about it, is that people voted with their wallets and said they did not want to see it. And in terms of positives, I don't really have any. I guess I wasn't upset with Julianne Moore. Like, she's fine in it. Like, the movie has like cast members that I'm familiar with, like Julianne Moore, William H. Macy, Vince Vaughn, and Viggo Mortensen. I forgot his name for a second. And, you know, good cast, but the script just gives them nothing to do, really. And they just don't bring any benefits to the film, unfortunately. So, definitely one of my least favorite movies of all time. Probably my least favorite remake ever made. And honestly, I just hate this movie. And this is one of those films where I can realistically see myself ranting about it for 2 hours and like make a full in-depth video and have like no fat within it and just rant about it and talk about this is why this worked in the original and this is why it does not work in the remake. I feel like I could do something like that. Same thing with like Terminator 3. Like, there's a few movies like that where I could just rant for a long time and really break down what they got wrong in a specific movie. And I'll say this much. This movie doesn't ruin the original. It just gives me some newfound appreciation for the original. So I got that, at least. But all in all, this movie is not good even in the slightest. There's really nothing that I liked. It's just a film that offends me, and I hate it more than just about any other movie that I've seen, for the most part. Probably my second least favorite movie of all time. If not this, then Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. It's a tie between those two. So I'm going to stick with the second least favorite movie of all time. So with all that being said, I'm going to give Psycho, the 1998 remake, a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of the Psycho remake from 1998, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Punch Drunk Love. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.